What's going on, everybody? You see a Jaguar back here with GenJag.com, and a few days ago I posted something about doing a Q&A video and for you guys to leave your questions for me to answer, and you guys have left me a bunch of questions, so I'm going to get toward that. But right now I want to make a quick announcement, and it's a very exciting announcement. You know, I've been on YouTube for a little over a year now. I started my channel January of 2017, so about a year and 4 months. And in that time, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of just coming out with quick recap videos for you guys, you know, 5 to 15 minutes of just basically Jaguars analysis. But, you know, I'm always trying to figure out how I can improve the channel. And one thing that I see just a lot of YouTubers doing and just utilizing is just the whole live stream function. And I have been doing I've done a few live streams. It's obviously not the specialty of this channel, but, you know, I'll basically pull up a live stream, answer stuff in the live chat, and kind of go at it that way. But, you know, I'm trying to figure out how I can really revolutionize that whole feature. And one thing that's very exciting is once the season comes about, for the games that I don't go to, I usually go to all the home games, but not necessarily all the away games, or definitely not all the away games, but, you know, there are a few home games that I usually don't wind up going to for whatever reason. But the games that I don't go to, I will actually live stream those games and do like live commentary during the game. So, you know, you guys can basically watch the Jaguar games with me, which will be a lot of fun. You know, I get super passionate during the game, and you know, if we struggle, you guys can see me out there, you know, yelling obscenities, but if we're doing well, you can see me bumping my chest and all that stuff, because it gets pretty fun, it gets pretty wild. But one thing that I'm very excited to announce is that I have done some research and I found out how I can actually host live stream shows with people calling in, and I think that'll be super fun to do. Just be able to have you guys call in and basically talk to me, and I can answer your questions. We can have a little bit of debate. If, you know, you feel this way, I feel another way, we can have some, you know, some dialogue with that and some good debate. And, you know, it feels like something that'd be really cool, because you don't really have this option anywhere else. You know, back before I started my before I started my YouTube channel, I would call into, shows like 1010XL, but what I hate about it is, you know, I'm someone that obviously knows a lot about the Jaguars, and, you know, I would come over there with some really perplexed kind of theories, and then, you know, you really just basically say, you say as much as you can, and they cut you off, then they interpret it however they want to interpret it, and oftentimes I would be interpreted totally wrong. But here I will actually let you guys, you know, have your chance to speak. You know, I'll be able to talk back to you and just all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I feel like this could be a really unique opportunity for the channel, just for you guys, because these live streams are going to be for you guys. You know, it's going to be your guys' opportunities to get your opinions out there, and, you know, just display them in front of everybody. You know, the shows will be about an hour long, and obviously after the show's over, it'll archive, so, you know, we'll have that hour-long show that people can go back to and listen. And, you know, it'll be a lot of fun to do, and, you know, hopefully you guys will be able to call in and, you know, help me out with this, and, you know, this will be y'all's opportunity, obviously, to be able to speak to me, and we can talk, and then, you know, just cover all kinds of Jaguars basis. And even if you're, obviously I have fans of people that aren't only Jaguar fans, so if you want to call in, talk about other NFL stuff, we can definitely do that. But obviously most of my expertise relies in the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, and I'm going to do my first live stream call-in show tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So go ahead and set your notification bell, subscribe, set your notification bell, so you guys can be alerted right when I go live. And it's going to be a ton of fun, and I really hope that it's going to be as fun as I hope it will be. So now that I've made that quick announcement, I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions, and I'm going to answer these in the order that I got them, and we'll go at it like that. Benjamin Horsley says, "What's up?" Jeffrey Grissom says, "Have you ever thought about doing a live stream and doing commentary through a Jags game?" Like I said, that's going to be something that I'm going to be introducing. So, you know, hopefully once the season comes, I'll be able to, you know, live stream the game, then kind of stop the recording, basically give you guys, after the game analysis on it. And then maybe even, 45 minutes to an hour after the game, we can do a live stream show where I basically take call-ins and you guys can voice your frustrations or, shout out Duval, whatever you want to do. Hopefully it'll be some happy shows. But yeah, I mean, definitely the live stream function is something I want to start utilizing. Anish Gankar says, how do you feel about Xavier Rhodes getting number 55 on a top 100 list? And also, how do you feel about Fournette getting 58 in his first season? Xavier Rhodes, I mean, honestly, with this whole NFL top 100 list, I don't put too much stock into it all, just because every week there's players that get announced where I think they're way too high or way too low, and then the list is basically voted on, I think, in the first week of December by the players. So, it's hard to really tell like how it's all like listed and everything. But Xavier Rhodes, obviously, he's a really good cornerback. So if anything, he should probably be higher than that. Xavier Rhodes, the cornerback for Minnesota, former Florida State Seminole. And he also asked how I feel about Fournette getting 58 in his first season. That's pretty surprising to me how he got number 58. I didn't know if he was going to be featured on this list, but I think Fournette and his style of play is something that's very well respected around NFL players. The way that he really brings on contact. He might most of these guys, running backs, will be shifty, kind of avoiding contact, but Leonard Fournette's the guy that'll wave you on contact and like take somebody on head on. I feel like that's something that a lot of running backs, or not running backs, but a lot of players all around the league will respect that kind of quality out of a guy. And, Fournette getting 58, also him being a high draft pick, a lot of name recognition there. So, a lot of people know a name like Fournette over a name like Ngakoue. So, yeah, Fournette getting 58, that's good for him, man. Next question comes from Jesus is King, or Jesus is King, however you want to say that word. And he asks, have I ever been to the new water park in Orlando, Volcano Bay? Actually, I have been numerous times. I actually have a season pass to Universal, so I get into Universal, Islands of Adventures, and Volcano Bay. And Volcano Bay is a lot of fun, man. I mean, it's really cool when you're on I-4 just seeing that big old volcano in the middle of nowhere. I love, it's kind of the closest thing we have to a beach in Orlando. They have lawn chairs with sand over there, wave pool, a bunch of different slides. It can get a little too crowded at times. Usually I try to go after work where there's the least amount of lines. But yeah, Volcano Bay is a lot of fun. Next question we have from Blake Reno says, which pick do you think is the most underrated pick that the Jags made? Well, I think the most the pick that's getting most hype is DJ Chark, so I'm gonna take him out of the list. And also you have Taven Bryan, the first round pick. Obviously a lot of talk about him, so I'll take both of them off. So with that said, this question, it's probably between that's going to get a lot of playing time besides the punter, is between Ronnie Harrison, the safety, and Will Richardson, the offensive tackle out of NC State. And, I think it's probably going to be Will Richardson. I think Will Richardson will get his chance to start some games this year, or actually maybe get in there and get some playing time, just because the offensive line does get injured a lot. And I really do like Deshaun Gibson and Barry Church. And, I think both those players will be able to get a ton of playing time, obviously, if they stay healthy. If they stay completely healthy, Ronnie Harrison probably won't see the field this year. But yeah, I mean, if I were to say the most underrated, probably Will Richardson. I mean, he doesn't get talked about a bunch, but with how often the offensive line gets injured, yeah, I think Will Richardson will get his chance to actually play. And another one we got from Blake: are you a UCF fan because you went there or you grew up in the environment? I actually grew up in Jacksonville. Lived in Fleming Island, went to school, lived in the same house from kindergarten through 12th grade, and then I moved out to Orlando a month after I graduated to go to UCF, and I graduated December 2016, and now I work full-time in the area, so I became a UCF fan once I went to school there, and that's how I've got my UCF ties. And Blake also asked my favorite Jags game. My favorite Jags game has to be the divisional playoff game against the Steelers. A lot of points scored, a lot of back and forth, a lot of this highlight plays, and the game was awesome, man. It kicked us into the AFC Championship game, and it just really felt surreal that the Jaguars actually made it there after all the shit teams I've watched in these last 10 years. Jags Junction 28. Hey guys, and Dalton, my Instagram is Jags Junction on Instagram. Be sure to follow it. But yeah, you make great content, my guy. So yeah, everyone go follow Jags Junction on Instagram, and thanks for the words, man. Dean Machine says you should make a video responding to the players that make the top 100 list. Yeah, I'll definitely make that after the top 100 list concludes, and I'll just go through all the guys that made it and kind of give my opinions about it. Alina's dad says, how old are you and what are you going to school for? I am 24 years old and I've graduated from UCF, but I went to school for accounting, and now I am an accountant. Next question I have from Philly 500. What's going on, Philly? He says, he's basically talking about my move, and he says, my question for you is, do you feel that Bortles can be even better next year? Do you worry about him as the weak link to your team? And I definitely think that Bortles will be better next year. I mean, he ended out the season very, very good. The Jaguars gave him his contract and expect him to be a better player. And it just seems like with all that's going on with these OTAs, he's a much more confident player. He is really taking a lot more ownership of the team. And, you know, a lot of guys around him are basically saying a bunch of good things about him. So I really feel like, you know, he had a resurgent year last year. And just teammates having confidence in him, I think will propel him to do better. But am I worried about him being a weak link to my team? Obviously, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't improve, then we might not make the Super Bowl, and we might not win the Super Bowl, and that's what it's all about, is winning the Super Bowl. And part of what got us to the AFC Championship game was Bortles, you know, making plays in the playoffs. And, you know, if he didn't do that, then we wouldn't have made it as far as we did. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I do think Bortles will be better next year. Obviously, I am a Bortles believer, so we'll see what happens. Yup, what's going on, man? Andrew McDonald, do the live show on Google Cam or something. He's just kind of giving me recommendations. Deegan Crandall says, huge Jet Central fan, but I'm looking to find a true second favorite team. Could be the Jags. Love the coaching and Blake Bortles' underdog mentality. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to be a Jets and Jags fans, you got two great YouTubers to follow, me and Jet Central. So, yeah, I mean, definitely hop on the Jags bandwagon, man. I'm always, can never mind more fans, man. James Reeves, did we re-sign Dante Fowler Jr.? We did not re-sign Dante Fowler Jr. He is on the last year of his contract. The Jaguars recently declined his fifth-year option, so he's going to set to be a free agent after the season. And I wouldn't expect the Jaguars to re-sign Dante Fowler Jr. as I feel like there's guys of higher priority to get signed under contract, like Yannick Ngakoue, Jalen Ramsey, and Miles Jack. So all those three guys would take priority in my opinion over him. So yeah. And then Guys Girl Media commented, what's going on, Blythe? The Kandaroth says, who do you think will be the leading receiver this year is my question. That is a very, very good question, and I would say Dante Moncrief. You know, if he stays healthy, I think he is a very, very versatile option. You know, he really fits that number one wide receiver role the best. And, you know, he's suffered through some injuries and some bad QB play the last couple of years. And, you know, I really think that he'll have all the opportunity in the world to be the most dynamic playmaking wide receiver on the team this season. So, next question we have from Jaden Davis. Why do you like the Jags, and specifically what reason made you like them? I know you're probably not going to see this. Well, I did see this, so thanks for commenting on the video, man. And I like the Jaguars because I am from Jacksonville. I'm actually from Fleming Island, and, you know, I grew up, in my early years, I was actually raised to be a Buccaneers fan, and then all of a sudden I was in, like, 5th or 6th grade. I'm like, why do I like the Buccaneers? I live in Jacksonville, so I switched to Jacksonville for my team, and I was a fan of them, you know, all throughout junior high and high school and whatnot, but I really became passionate about the Jaguars once I went to college, and it just seemed like the Jaguars were my real connection to Jacksonville. You know, I love Jacksonville, and I just love the NFL, man. The NFL, I think, is the greatest sports league of them all. I mean, obviously, besides all this stupid-ass Roger Goodell kind of stuff. But, you know, I just love fantasy football. I love seeing these players at the top of their game. You know, obviously college football, you know, my team can go undefeated and UCF not get a shot at a national championship. But, you know, the NFL, it's all decided by mathematics and not politics. So I just think that the NFL is the best. Sasha Grossman says, Dalton, do you think the idea of drafting Lee at round 6 was about to have a QB in training camp that looks more worth than Bortles? What makes him look better? If we got Tanner Lee in the 6th round because we think he's better than Blake Bortles, then we are screwed, because you don't get a guy in the 6th round to be the savior of the team. You get a guy in the 6th round to eventually be a developmental guy, to hopefully turn into a decent backup quarterback. But man, if Tanner Lee is the what's expected to be a Blake Bortles replacement, then it's not gonna be good. Stewies commented, what's going on, Stewies? Hames says, what are your thoughts on Blair Brown potentially being our newest starting linebacker, taking place of Puz? And what are your expectations from our O-line this year? You know, Blair Brown, you know, we haven't really seen him play much last season, just because we only really saw him play in a couple games where he kind of spelled Puz Lusney when he got injured. But, you know, my thoughts on Blair Brown is, you know, bring him on. I mean, a lot of people were talking about drafting a linebacker in the 3rd or 4th round this year to be able to be Puz Lusney, the replacement. But we already got that replacement in the 5th round of last year's draft. And, you know, he's got a whole year under his belt when it comes to really learning the playbook and learning to scheme. So I think all along he was in the Jaguars' plans to really be that replacement for Puz Lusney when the time came. And, you know, this is the fact that they didn't draft the linebacker till the 7th round. The Jaguars coaching staff knows a lot more than anybody else knows about Blair Brown, just because they see him in practice every day while we've seen him in limited sample size during the regular season. So, you know, I don't have a problem with it. And what are your expectations for our O-line this year? I mean, like, I'm not usually a homer with this kind of stuff, but I think our offensive line is going to be one of the best in the NFL. I mean, you look at the left side of our offensive line. You got Cam Robinson going into the 2nd year. Left guard, you have Norwell coming off of an all-pro season. Obviously, we signed him as our big money free agent. And you have Brandon Linder at the center position. And, you know, A.J. Cann and Jeremy Parnell at the right side. I do like Jeremy Parnell. I think A.J. Cann is probably the weak link, but, you know, he can still win with him. And, you know, I think our offensive line is poised to have a really big year. And, you know, I think Brandon Linder only plays better with guard play on each side of him that is better, so he won't have to suffice for subpar play. So that will all be good. So, yeah, that kind of concludes. Actually, I got one more question from my email. Let me pull that up real quick. This question is from Charles Blue. He said, first, why do you think guys like Fred Taylor, by the way, my favorite running back, Jimmy Smith, Tony Brackens, and Mark Brunell, not only have no love showed their way, but they aren't mentioned, or to my knowledge, haven't received any votes for the Hall of Fame? The reason why that is just the Jaguars are a small market, man. And in order to really start getting more guys to open up for, we have to get Tony Boselli in the Hall of Fame. And I think once Tony Boselli gets in the Hall of Fame, they're going to look at players like Fred Taylor and see the numbers and see how worthy they are to get in the Hall of Fame. You know, I think really right now only Fred Taylor, Tony Boselli, and maybe Jimmy Smith would get into the Hall of Fame. I don't think Tony Brackens or Brunell will get in there, but that's the reason why, man. The Jaguars are a small market team, and they just don't get much love showed their way, as we all probably know. He's also saying, I am rolling with Blake. He is our QB, and I think he has the opportunity to be better this year, but do you think he can be that top 10 kind of QB this year with the weapons that he has this year? You know, with Blake Bortles, I'm kind of hoping that he makes that top 15 quarterback step this year. You know, I think last year he was probably a top 20 quarterback, but you know, if we get him into top 15, you can win Super Bowls with guys like that. And, you know, with the top 10, it's hard for me to put him in that category just yet. I do think that he has the potential to be there, but let's see him improve his play in 2018. And if he has a better year in 2018 than he did 2017, you know, then we could potentially say, okay, can he take that next step where he goes, you know, top 10, where he has single-digit interceptions, you know, throws for 2.5 times more touchdowns than he does interceptions, makes all kinds of great throws. So, you know, we'll see with that whole thing. And last, what is a good seat number as far as viewing point in a stadium for a price under $400? Honestly, with me, a lot of people, you know, talk crap about nosebleeds and stuff like that. But I actually like the nosebleed seats. You know, I love being up high. I get to look down, see what kind of formation the offense and defense is in, distinguish whether they're playing zone or man, and really see the play open up. You know, as opposed to a lot of times I'll sit in zone seats and then I'll have to look up at the Jumbotron most of the days to actually get an in-depth look of like what exactly is going on. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with you know, getting nosebleed seats. I love all 22 views and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see anything wrong with being able to sit up high like that. So yeah, that kind of concludes this Q&A. Thank you guys all for throwing your questions out there at me, and definitely be sure to check out my live stream tomorrow night. Peace.